like you. Be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one.
And welcome to Safety Tip. This morning we're going to be talking on first aid for heart attack. First aid for heart attack. And I remain your guide, Paul Orukamayan. When we talk on heart attack, we will definitely looking at a situation where somebody have a sudden blockage at the muscular blood supply to the heart. These are science which will be left for the medical professional. And you remember, first aid is a temporary measure before you get the person to the medical facility. When you meet a colleague, for example, in your office, because it's very common these days, in your office, a place of traveling, in a ceremony, and all of a sudden you discover somebody is crying of a very sharp pain in the heart. Sometimes this pain stretched across towards the neck and the hand, and the person will be struggling for breath. The person look most time unwell, and finally you will just discover that the person is sweating profusely even when it is raining. At that point, you should suspect that the person is undergoing an heart attack situation. What will you do as a first aider when you have such a situation? The first thing you should do when you are around such person is to contact the medical facility. What do we mean contact the medical facility? You call for help. You call the ambulance. You call the hospital. If you have a doctor friend, call the doctor and say, this is the situation you have on hand. What should you do before you get the person to the hospital, or you are bringing such person to the hospital? After calling for that medical assistant, which will also be the ambulance, you could even call the road safety number 122 if you wish, and they get help to you. For you, you need to do what we call an emergency first aid. One, by administering what we call aspirin. Aspirin is a common drug that is used to quench heart attack or to reduce the effect of heart attack. It's called a blood lightening tablet. And anybody who suddenly is undergoing an heart attack, if you ask such person, they usually carry it along with them, because the medical professional must have told them that because of some medical reason, you should always move with an aspirin. If the person doesn't have an aspirin, you could also rush to your first aid bus, or in the process to the hospital, you could just stop at a pharmacy and pick one tablet of aspirin and give the person to chew in as much as the person is conscious. 2, you have to start reassuring the casualty that things is going to be better, that is going to get relief in no distance time. 3, if the person can no longer walk and the pain persists, you need to give the person a comfortable position. What do we mean comfortable position in this regard? It is very technical. A man who is undergoing an heart attack is on this position dragging his or her chest, because what will be happening is like the chest is squeezing the person. Avoid dragging the person in the opposite position, because when you do that, the heart could fail automatically. So if the person have this position, sit the person down, rest the person against a wall. If you have a wall, rest the person against the wall and let the person breathe with his or her mouth to get an additional air. If you don't have a wall around you, you could also drag a chair closer to the person and support the chair and allow the person to lean on the chair, using the position of the heart to lean on the chair. As the person leans on the chair, the muscles will start releasing gradually. Please try to avoid lying the person on the ground. If you lie the person on the ground, the person will struggle to stand up. And the process of struggling, you could also have what we call a sudden cardiac arrest. And when you have a sudden cardiac arrest, you might not have the opportunity to take the person to the hospital. But when you are able to do one, call for a medical assistant, an ambulance, or any help that will get you to the hospital. 2, you're able to administer aspirin to that person. 3, you give the person hope by assuring the person. 4, you give the person a comfortable position that suits the person, either by resting on the wall or resting on the chair. On the chair, you discover that you will be able to carry the person to the hospital. These are very little safety tips that you could use to save the life of your colleague, the life of your loved ones, even the life of your enemies, to get to the hospital. First aid for heart attack is always a temporary measure to saving the life of the person. I repeat, first aid for heart attack is a temporary measure to keep the person before you get that person to the medical facility. Medical facility is a solution to heart attack. And I encourage you, as you go out there today, watch over your colleague. Once they complain of severe heart pain, chest pain, they are feeling feverish or feeling sick, they are sweating even when they are under the AC, you know that you are suspecting what we call an heart attack. And that person's life could be in your hand. Remain safe, keep the person safe, and keep the life of that person. I remain Paul Orukamayan.
To dream, believe in strength. Now